Right.
right? The mental comes in when it comes with finance, and that's what I don't think a lot of people understand, and why I think mental health holistically is so key, especially in sports,
Right.
as well, is because I tell people all the time there's a technical side and there's a fundamental side, and that's what I learned from the trading world, Forex, understanding that, hey, I can see the charts,
Mhm.
right? That's technical. Like, hey, it's done this. So if it does this again, it's probably going to do this, right? But now let me understand the mental, or let me read the news, right? Because unfortunately, if the president says something that can impact this business or this investment I have. So I need to understand both,
Right.
right? Then that allows us together to make better decisions.
Malik's First Job Podcast, here to answer any questions that y'all ask. Financial literacy and resources. Parents and young people becoming bosses. CEOs, future leaders, entrepreneurs. Conferences and boardrooms getting sponsors secured. If you want generational wealth, Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip with information to help. Malik's First Job Podcast. Malik's Podcast. Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip. Kerwin Phillip. Malik's First Job Podcast. Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip. Generational wealth.
Yeah, let's get it.
All right, cool. Hey, peace. What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? This is Kerwin Phillip here with another episode of the Malik's First Job Podcast, where we talk about leadership, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy. Yo, I know it's been a while, but we back. I got a great guest today, my man Travis Jones from SW3 Sports. Yo, Travis, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man? It's a pleasure to be here. Happy Monday. Let's get it popping, man. I'm ready to talk about all things positivity, all things sports, all things financial literacy. Let's just make sure we get it quite efficient enough so we can make it make sense for everybody.
No doubt, no doubt. So please tell the people who you are and what you do.
I got you. Yeah. So again, appreciate the intro. I'm Travis Jones, owner operator of SW3 Sports. And what SW3 Sports stands for is really important to me. It's a story in itself, the power of perseverance as we talk about understanding along the journey. There's some who are willing, right? Whether that's support, whether that's just conversation, whether that's inspiration, shoot, whether it's a like or a comment, right? Some will. And then we know in certain situations, it's just some who won't. No matter how authentic we are, no matter what we do to try to, do the right things the positive way, there's some who won't, but that don't stop the mission. So what, right? And that's what the SW3 came for. And with my love of sports, background in sport management degree from Virginia State University, of course. And um, when NIL, came about, well, that transition came around 2019, 2020. I kind of saw the movement, from a guy that I went to school with, took a few courses and like, hey, I want to be an NIL coach or agent to help our youth because now they're going to get to the money sooner in life, right?
Right.
It's not going to be where they're 22, getting to the NFL now, figuring out no, some of these kids are in high school getting, sneaker deals, and college getting these type of deals. Um, so I wanted to be a part of that, and I wanted to help them through financial literacy with my background in crypto and forex, and stock trading as well. So I'm like, how do I bridge this gap?
Yeah.
And that's how SW3 Sports really came about, wanting to bridge that gap, with tools and resources, with consultations, with media and marketing services that help these athletes also get in front of college coaches, and do social media the right way as well.
No doubt, no doubt. So for people who aren't familiar with NIL, can you please break that down exactly what NIL is?
Oh yeah, yeah, love that. So basically, NIL, what it stands for is name, image, and likeness. So basically, what that essentially means is it allows now student athletes, depending on your state, right? Make sure you understand your local and state laws, of course, because it is different per state. Where some high school and college athletes now can get paid in some cases directly from using their name, image, and likeness, right?
Okay.
So, for example, I'm about to tell my age a little bit, I guess. But if you remember the Fab Five, right, and out of Michigan, right, you remember them talking about how they could go down the street and see their jersey. Like Rose can see that's my number, right? My name isn't on it, but they're selling my likeness, and the school was getting paid for it because athletes couldn't. That was illegal at one point. So now it's legal, right? So you can get paid for, doing social media ads. You can get paid through affiliate marketing, which is kind of my, go-to when it comes to, athletes. Putting things out there, sharing things that you already do, and getting paid for it.
Mhm.
Um, and now able to get sponsorships, right, from the local shoot, man. Zaxby's might want to sponsor the kid over here at Huguenot, right? So they can get paid directly. So they can also be entrepreneurs early on, right? So hey, I want to sell, like I said, an affiliate aspect. I want to sell shirts, right? I want to be into merchandise. I want to sell football cleats or designer cleats. I can actually create my own online store and utilize that money. Where now it's now legal to do, where years ago it was not. And I'm just helping them, not only student athletes, but also parents navigate this world because it is new, it is ever changing. Similar to crypto when it first came out, it's like, oh, I don't understand it. I see how it's happening. I need to research more. And now the key thing to do is social media, right? Make sure you're branding yourself because you're now a brand, right? You're a business, right? At this point. So I know we were talking about, how sometimes kids, hey, I don't want to post all this much. I don't think it's cool. But the coaches need to see who you are,
Right.
right? The social media allows them to see who you are before flying you out or before flying to come see you, and sitting on you and mom's couch, right? Who is this person, right? What do they like to do? What are some of their hobbies outside of the sport, right? This allows these brands and coaches and colleges, universities, and shoot, the USFL, different opportunities, now to see who you are, and you want to, utilize that,
Right.
right, in a positive way. And shoot, some of these platforms are paying you to post,
Right.
also, right? So, why not? But yeah, NIL, name, image, and likeness, ability to use your name, your look, your leverage, your influence, technically to get paid to do so.
Wow. Wow. Now, is there like an age requirement to take advantage of that NIL stuff?
Um, I wouldn't say necessarily an age requirement, based on state law. Depending on what state you're in,
Right.
of course, certain states allow high school athletes and up, some only college athletes and up, right? Where
Mhm.
high school, is not enabled just yet, right? So that's why I always say, depending on the state, definitely want to look out, for those things, get your regulations. Because I remember when we started in Virginia, there was no fees to become an NIL agent. Like,
Okay.
you could just be an agent, right? I could just register. Now there's fees, right? Almost $1,100 plus a year in fees, where other states fees may be more, fees may be less,
Right.
things of that nature. Um, but yeah, so it would depend on state, so definitely want to stay in tune with that.
No doubt. No doubt. So, from your experience with with these kids, getting all this attention and the money, how do you navigate like the financial literacy piece, right? Because, being a high school student and getting, all this money coming in, this income, 'cause I see cats getting like, tens of thousands of dollars, in some of these deals I've been seeing online. Like, how
Mhm.
do you help a kid kind of navigate that, all this money and resources coming in and still, focusing on the sport as well?
Absolutely. And I think, and that's a great question. And for me, what it really goes down to is initially our first conversations,
Okay.
right? Now, when I'm helping a client or athlete, parent, whoever it may be, I want to upfront ask certain questions. One is, what do you value? What is your mission? Right? Because those things, one, must align with myself. So then I can understand that, hey, we're going to be on the same page. because saving and investing is going to be key, right?
Right.
I present, workshops, webinars, with my clients of, hey, let's talk about code 72, right? Compound interest based on if I invest my money at this percentage per year, how many years will it take to double?
Right.
Right? Or triple, right? Understanding these things about compound growth, understanding investment through whether it's an online ebook, whether it's a free course that I made for forex, crypto, and precious metals, that I consistently invest in all three or trade in all three as well, and then also affiliate marketing because I factor that in as well, simply because hey, you're a business owner. I mean,
Mhm.
we're already promoting products that we could be paid for and we just don't know it, right? We all shop on Amazon. Why, as a student athlete, why are you not an Amazon affiliate?
Mm.
Because you're doing unboxing videos, and then if they click your link, you will get a commission. It's
Right.
1,000 people watching your video. You just need 5 to 10.
Yeah.
Right? And now you're making a passive income, right? Now we're talking about passive residual income, things of that nature. What's also important too, don't get me wrong, I'm not a licensed financial advisor,
Right.
but making sure get with the right people and understand taxes and legal responsibilities.
Right.
I can help coach and consult and make sure I network and get my people with the right brands.
Right.
Actually probably will be growing the team, because we got a lawyer on the team as well to make sure our legalities and things are, aligned as well. But those are the key things, saving, investing, of course, understanding the emergency funds, understanding, I think we talked about it too, the art of saying no,
Right.
right? The mental comes in when it comes with finance, and that's what I don't think a lot of people understand, and why I think mental health holistically is so key, especially in sports,
Right.
as well, is because I tell people all the time, there's a technical side and there's a fundamental side, and that's what I learned from the trading world, forex, understanding that hey, I can see the charts,
Mhm.
right? That's technical. Like, hey, it's done this, so if it does this again, it's probably gonna do this, right? But now let me understand the mental, or let me read the news, right? Because unfortunately, if the president says something that can impact this business or this investment I have. So I need to understand both,
Right.
right? Then that allows us together to make better decisions. Through those webinars, through one-on-ones, through free e-courses
Mhm.
and things of that nature is how I continue to support.
Yeah.
And my service I offer additionally different at showcases. Hey, do you want to offer a 15-minute or a 30-minute session where I can talk NIL or give out NIL resources to parents and things of that nature? Because when the money come, what you gonna do,
Right.
right? I'd rather stay ready so I ain't got to get ready.
True that. True that. Now, how receptive are the kids, and the parents, right, on both sides from, you trying to indulge or provide this information?
Hmm.
Because a lot of times this is like new stuff that they've never seen before or never
Right.
heard before, and you're trying to, kind of present it to them. Are they really receptive to it, or do you face resistance?
Well, it depends, right? And I've seen a balance. It depends on honestly the parent, right? The parents are very important in this partnership as well. I believe coaches will tell you the same thing because if I'm recruiting a kid, I'm recruiting a parent, right? And in some cases, the parents, um, it depends on, what their parents' outlook, right, and goals are themselves.
Right.
Because it's been situations where and I think I hate to say it, but it may be a black cultural thing where
Mhm.
when we make it, right, we want to buy mama a house,
Right.
right? But in other cultures, when they make it, it's how do we support you and move forward instead of moving backwards? Like, how do I set up for my kids? I
Mm.
think in our culture, we always move backwards, right? So I look for certain things, or how do we move forward, right? Um, certain kids who love the game, right? And then you see those who love the flashiness, right?
Right.
If you ever heard this saying where it said, well, I think it might have been a rap. He said, I don't want the glow, I want the glow ray, right?
Yep.
Some kids who I get the resistance, that's because they just want the glow,
Okay.
right? And for me, I get resistance because I want the glory, right? Let's talk about the glory. Like, what's the impact we can make? So, for me, it's just not about making a dollar.
Right.
It's impact over income. So I get resistance because that's what I value most majority of the times, and I'm not just here to say, hey, yeah, you're the best eighth grader in the state, but you got a bad attitude. You're not a team player.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when I be real and authentic, I would just say transparent.
Mm.
That's when I get resistance because certain entitlement comes into play.
Yeah.
But then there are the diamonds in the rough where it's just like, man, that's a great kid, yo.
Mhm.
In a lot of times, sometimes they're the best players, sometimes they're second best.
Mhm.
Saw a guy at the Unity Hoops Classic we just did out here in Richmond. Dude came off the bench, got the most outstanding player of the game,
Wow.
because he went 5 or 6 from three, and he simply just said, I stay ready. When my number's called, I work hard, and then if I know I'm only gonna get 2 minutes, that got to be the best 2 minutes I can give to coach and get to my team. And
Right.
I'm like, bruh, you don't get that.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm talking about, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to get this kid a shot. You know, and that's where it differs for me. It's been a mix. I've been at some schools where it's just like they ain't trying to hit nothing I'm talking about. They want the money, the cars. That's
Right.
all they want to hear. And I like to be very upfront. I like to give the disclaimer, like, hey, this is risky. Like I tell people who want to invest,
Hmm.
like, if you're trying to make $1 million overnight, that's not what we're doing. This is long term. This is how do we build success moving forward. Life after sports. What other opportunities are there? How do you diversify your portfolio,
Right.
right? And things of that nature.
That's what's up. And I know, like, we've worked with entrepreneurs, like young entrepreneurs, right, with kids that started businesses and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
oftentimes, or sometimes, I can say oftentimes, there's certain instances where, let's say the child has like a lemonade stand, right, and they're selling products, and the parent wants to control those finances, right? They look at that as being household income. Instead of
Right.
letting the kid thrive and flourish with their business, they're like,
Hmm.
okay, well, you need to give that money to me to help me pay this light bill or do
Right.
this or do that. I know. Have you seen that, in your travels as well?
Absolutely, and that's why, like I said, I hate to say it, but it's our black culture, man. That it's what we want, what we look at it like that.
Mhm.
Whereas other cultures, I see it's like, oh, I see now the lemonade stand is doing well. How do I help support it instead of taking from it?
Right.
Right? We're it's a lot of taking going on. Unfortunately, right? And
Right.
the crazy part is that givers have to learn their limits because takers have none,
Right.
right? So I've seen it, and that's why I say the parent is, oh well, sometimes the parent to come in and say, okay, so how much money do I get out of this NIL deal? And I'm like, huh? Like, what are we talking about? Like,
You
it's
ain't out there running up and down the field.
right. What are we talking about? And it's very unfortunate.
Hmm.
And I usually cut it short. I ain't even gonna hold you. Like I said, I'm gonna cut it short. But yeah, I've seen those situations. Very unfortunate. A situation I can think of right now is kind of when talking to a client. Like I said, mom is like, okay, well, what account should I set up? And I'm like, what account? It's like, well, you got to make sure one, we on the same page with our mission, with our values, right? What is the investment plan? What's the business plan? Because this is a business,
Hmm.
right? We're setting up a brand we're creating, right? And there are certain things, you should dot your I's, cross your T's,
Right.
right? When the conversation goes straight to the money, and it's like, okay, I see where we going. I don't think I'm aligned. Let me ask a few more questions. to make sure and see if there's some changes possibly,
Right.
with that. But yeah, man, they want to control. Oh yeah, since I needed detergent, right? I needed a new outfit. Like, oh, it's it's crazy,
Yeah.
instead of investing and allowing them to save it. And
Mhm.
that's something I like to do with my kids, I am teaching them sometimes like, hey, this McDonald's you want or this food you want every day does cost money. So I let them see it when they spend their own birthday money or Christmas money. But I
Right.
also say, hey, you just got $10, right? Grammy just came home and gave you $10, right? $1 needs to go to the savings immediately, right? Pay yourself first, right? That's why I try to teach everybody. Another dollar, what you're going to invest in, what can you buy or purchase or something that's going to allow you to repurpose it, right, or increase its value, right? Sometimes that's stocks, that's trading accounts, for me, that's crypto, or it could be you investing in a company. Maybe a partner of yours has a business that, hey, I'll give you 1% of my company for this amount, right?
Right.
For example. And then another dollar is, hey, $1 we got to give away, right? $1 we give back to the universe. Whether that's tithing, whether that's, giving it to the man on the median, whoever it is, right? That's one of those things. Pay yourself first, saving, investing, tithing, if that's what you want to call it. And then the 70%, you can spend the 70.
That's right. That's
All
right.
right, you can mess up that them $7, and that's what I teach them, and
Mhm.
I teach all my clients that holistically, right? Whether it's, hey, you got 10,000, well, now that's 1,000 here, 1,000 there. You got 100,000, that's 10, 10, and 10, right?
Right.
The principles stay the same. That's why I always like to use averages when I talk about money, because people see the dollar amount and go, oh wow, he just made 100K. Yes, but he invested $2 million,
Mhm.
right? You want to make 100K? Do you have 2 million? No, you
Right.
have 2,000. You'll make 200, right?
Right.
That's your ratio based on that. So keeping it aligned.
That's what's up. Malik's First Job, Financial Principles for Teens, is an excellent resource to get your children started on understanding the basics of financial literacy. This book, which is set in Brownsville, Brooklyn, about a young man who gets his first job and then shortly thereafter sits down with his dad to learn how to manage his money. There are several topics that are covered within this work, such as paying yourself first, disciplining your spending, knowing the difference between an asset and a liability, creating multiple sources of income, as well as the importance of being charitable. So again, if you want to get your children started on understanding finance and becoming responsible adults, we highly recommend that you purchase the book, Malik's First Job, Financial Principles for Teens. So please visit maliksfirstjob.com to get more information. Peace. What's up? So oftentimes when you see people who become like, financial literacy advocates and want to really push and instill this, this discipline, they have
Mhm.
a story within themselves, right? So what is your financial journey that brought you to this point where you want to help educate others?
Oh man, that's a good question. And it actually started off, I was at a previous job, right? And I just got promoted. I'm probably 28, 29, making six figures, right? Making a six-figure income. And I'm like, yo, right, from Newport News, kid like me, like what? Like one, I couldn't believe it, but it was crazy because I just got promoted. I moved some PTO around, and I'm telling my boss, she like, yeah, question, have you already paid for the trip? I'm like, yeah. She was like, okay, where you going? And I just thought to myself, like, why are you asking me all these questions?
Hmm.
And that's literally where it happened. It's like something got to give. I do not feel comfortable asking somebody for time off.
Right,
Like literally, I felt disgusted, and it wasn't her fault. She was doing her job, right?
right.
Like I was doing my job, requesting time off, but I'm like, something has to change.
Hmm.
So next thing you know, I'm seeing, online, people with these Forex accounts, right? I see red, blue, I don't know what it means. So I'm reaching out like, hey, do you teach, right? Do you have a course, right? Because I want to learn. One thing I've understood is that, hey, if I learn something, now I have a skill and nobody can take that away from me,
Right.
right? I don't want to have to depend on what some people offered me, which was, hey, I'll trade for you. You just copy my trades. I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that, right? Because I'm not learning nothing. So because of that conversation I had with my boss, I'm reaching out. Next thing you know, a guy that I work with, he is in a Forex company, right? It was a network marketing company. And I'm like, they have courses. I'm with it, right? As soon as I saw that it was courses that I can watch, read, learn, ask questions, I'm like, I'm sold. I'm literally sold because that's exactly what I'm looking for. And I can commit at least 90 days. Ironically, same gentleman that I mentioned to you that put me on, he was the best man in my wedding.
Wow.
Right? So crazy how that connected because that introduction at a library out here, in Richmond, where he just I said, oh, it's courses, right? They do live trainings. And they do, okay, I like this, right? And I learned. And now what I was able to do and understand is that maybe I had enough money to pay for courses. And then I realized the people who needed this probably didn't have that type of money to pay for those courses.
Right.
All right. So then I wanted to offer now with the knowledge that I've possessed, can I give out free courses? Right? Can I, because like I said, for me, when I saw that I could legally, make my money, I was like, this is a game changer. Why is nobody talking about this? Like it was so crazy. It's like 300 went to 800. I'm like, oh my, like I couldn't, I'm like mind blown. And I realized at that point, everybody should know about this, period. Period. And it's like, and if you didn't, that I don't understand. Like I truly don't. Like, are you rich? Are you wealthy? Like you don't want to learn this. Oh nah. Then the next thing you know, you on social media talking about how you got 27 pair of brand new Jordans. And I'm
Right.
like, I'm so confused now. Like that's again, buy the Jordan, but let your asset buy the Jordans. You know what I'm saying? Like, still get them, but how much Jordan stock do you have? Nike stock do you have?
Yeah.
Right? Those dividends could buy you a new pair of shoes every 6 months.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So how do we look at it? So that conversation, and I tell that story, and it's crazy how I was in my boss's office making good money, but then was miserable. I'm like, this is crazy because I didn't have my freedom, right? And as I continue to, work towards helping others, seek, different opportunities because now having a side hustle or a side gig is no longer a hobby, it's a necessity. In some cases, you got to have multiple streams of income with
Yeah.
the way inflation, right? Things are changing and, times are really changing. We're going to see Project 2025, here as well, so everything's changing. So educate yourself, be around people of value. I call them PVO, positive vibes only.
Right.
Of course, put the right people around you, man. That's gonna be key.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So for someone that's like interested in, in investing, right? And they don't know how to get started, what would be your recommendation for them?
Um, I would say one, them to find a few things. One, find out what do you already invest in, right? Like for example, what type of phone do you have? Oh, I have an iPhone. Okay, well, Apple will probably be a prime investment, right? Um, let me see. Just like I said, I ask questions about things that you already use, right? If
Mhm.
even if it's Android, is it Sony, right? What browser do you use? Oh, I use Chrome. Okay, well, Google, right? Have you thought about investing there? Those are because that makes it simple.
Right.
But and depending on their budget as well, and how much their risk capital is,
Mhm.
will where I will introduce them to. Right. A lot of people I say Robinhood, right? Robinhood is a simple app, has a great, referral program too, affiliate program,
Right.
because hey, sign somebody up new, you get a free stock. but also it's very simple, very user friendly for a beginner that is maybe just testing the waters, maybe $10 here at a time, maybe 100, maybe at most up to 1,000,
Right.
right? Then if we have somebody who's, hey, I have about 5 to 10,000, I may think of things like Webull, if they're for stocks, if they're in the crypto, well, stock and crypto, if they're in the crypto, Coinbase,
Hmm.
of course. And I also like Coinbase for crypto because Coinbase also gives you education, right, throughout it also. There's always educational videos, new updates about, hey, learn about this crypto and what it does, and we'll reward you in crypto. So that's what I like too. So I'll say Robinhood, Coinbase, Robinhood for my stock people, Coinbase for my crypto people. And if you're trading right now, well, I would say simply start with Trading View, right? Before you purchase anything, tradingview.com, right? Where you can learn the technicals and fundamentals on the free program. Those are three key components I'll tell individuals to start at.
Right.
Um, and that's just kind of on the technical side. If it goes to learning, YouTube University, right? YouTube, yes, is all over the place, but it's free, right?
Exactly.
If you can afford the course, or I have a free course that goes in order, so I like to offer that,
Hmm.
But of course, if you can afford, right, some of the prime courses where things are a little bit more in order, you get a little homework, you get some assessments and things like that.
Hmm.
Of course, they're more ideal,
Right.
but for the beginner, there's so many free options you can start with, including, what I offer as well.
Okay. And you said that you started off with Forex, right?
Mhm.
Now, Forex gets a bad rap, right? You see so many people on there spamming and doing so many different things. Can you
Mhm.
kind of speak about what exactly Forex is for those that
Absolutely.
kind of get scared from all this inbox and stuff? They get these DMs they be getting all the time.
Right, I got you. Yeah, no, like I said, the problem is it's Forex stands for, is short for foreign exchange market,
Okay.
right? And it's really the money markets, right? Because it's basically the markets where money is exchanged, right? If you've ever been to an airport and you saw currency exchange,
Hmm.
right? That's because the currency rates fluctuate based on supply and demand,
Right.
right? So if I take $10 and exchange it for the euro, I might have got 15 euros. But on the way back, the dollar's now more valuable. Instead of getting $10 back, I actually got 20, right? And they fluctuate. So we basically trade the exchange rate of money, right? So it's the most liquid, as you can imagine, the most liquid market in the world because it's the money's. It's money,
Right.
right? It's like all of your businesses, your banks. If you got a bank, your money's in forex. If you got a credit card, your money's in forex,
Hmm.
right? Shoot, the government's money is in forex. So this is really where the money is. The problem comes into play is who is telling the story about Forex,
Hmm.
right? As I was talking about with when I started, right, it was a Forex company, right? He was marketing the company because if you get a certain amount of people in, you will get a certain amount of residual income.
Right.
And again, network marketing works because they're giving me a service. So it's legit,
Right.
right? So that's what a proper network marketing is. The issue comes into play sometimes where these marketers are marketing Forex and they don't have a clue on the understanding and teaching of Forex themselves,
Right.
right? When you're not a product of the product, it's hard to explain, right? I'm saying, oh, just come to this video, just hop on. What do you think? Don't you want to make $1,000 a month
Right.
doing trading? Hey, you're not even doing $1,000 a month trading. You're doing it networking,
Right.
right? So I can't learn from you. So that's really why it gets a bad rap. And unfortunately, scammers gonna scam no matter what the market is. They scamming in crypto, shoot, bank scamming, wire frauds. There's always somebody doing Amazon. They stealing Amazon packages, right?
Right.
Scammers are gonna scam. I just say continue to educate yourself,
Right.
right? If you haven't, and don't get me wrong, I've lost money. I've been scammed, right?
Mhm.
Especially starting in crypto in the beginning when you had to have these exchanges or wallets, it got a little murky. But in education, I understand, hey, I'm only messing with Coinbase and crypto.com.
Right.
I ain't messing with no other wallets. I got my cold wallet. I want a storage. I understand that. But yeah, unfortunately, Forex gets that bad rap because of people being presented from marketers
Right.
about Forex instead of traders, right? If a trader presented, it's basically like, hey, you're learning a skill where I can either buy or sell at the proper time so
Mhm.
I can multiply my money, right? But I'm doing it based on the education that I received through courses, understanding support and resistance, understanding, Fibonacci retracements, if you get to those intermediate and advanced levels as well, you know, and now it's almost like, hey, now I have a skill set where I can allow my money to continue to make money.
Right.
Because Forex is real. Forex is truly where the bag is at. So when people say, hey, I'm chasing that bag, so I used to go in the chat, say, hey, what do you mean? What are you doing? Oh, I'm doing overtime. You ain't chasing no bag, you just working. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, working is fine, a 9 to 5 is fine, but leverage it. Like I told my friend, he said, oh yeah, I got 2 jobs. And I said, and 2 jobs is for 2 people. Also, so how do we leverage that to get more time freedom back? And as I'm gonna continue being an advocate for that as well. Forex opened my mind to it.
Yeah.
Forex also led me to personal development,
Mhm.
right? It also led me to crypto education. It also led me to precious metal education, where I collect silver, right? I'm a silver advocate, right? Gold is a little too expensive to get, but silver also continues to increase in value and also a little more accessible to get as well. Why I present that as a option.
All right. Cool. Cool. All right. So we about to wrap up in a little bit, but before we wrap up, so what's next for SW3?
SW3, man, what's next right now, man? We got a lot going on actually. Just finishing up the Unity Hoops Classic. There I was doing the exclusive interviews with the coaches, as the most outstanding players as well. Coming up, we got some workshops with Get Me Recruited. That's going to be out in North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, March 1st through March 2nd.
Mhm.
Um, SW3 has continued to be the lead media marketing for Wolfpack Training 757. The best trainer, Dustin Johnson, out of the 757, I put him up against anybody. For real, for real. He breed them wolves out there, not dogs, they wolves, and it's all wolves and no sheep. That's what he go by, and we just gonna continue to inspire, enrich, empower, and educate others. Through sports, through financial education, man, and I'm gonna stay the course, right? But hopefully we can get some things popping right out here in the 757 and 804 to maybe putting like a financial literacy combine together. We talk about NFL and sports combining. Why can't it be a financial literacy combine? So that's something that's been on the mind as well. So SW3, we just moving forward, man. That's all we could do.
That's what's up. So for folks that want to get in contact with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. It's at SW3 Sports. You can visit my website, SW3sports.com as well. Send me a contact, send me a message. My services are there, my merch store is there. Definitely get there, educate yourself. Got some questions. Please look at the FAQs because people ask, why do I need sports marketing? Do I got to be the star player? Things of that nature to get involved. And all those questions are answered there, as well as my ebooks and resources that you can get access to.
That's
So
what's up. That's what's up. So
that's
definitely
where I'll
reach
be.
out. Reach out to my man Travis, SW3 Sports. And real quick before I end this episode, one definitely give a shout out to my man Corey Falconier for making this connection. I mean, Corey be out there,
Absolutely.
he be doing his thing. He be doing his thing. So definitely got to salute
Yeah,
the
he
brother.
do. He stay on the move.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. So thank you all for joining us today for the Malik's First Job podcast. And I catch y'all all next week. Peace. All right.
Generational wealth.